Hi, my name's T.C. Ryan. I'm the author of Ashamed No More, A Pastor's Journey Through Sex Addiction. I was a very sincere Christian, and I still am, but I was somebody who had trouble handling my compulsive sexual behaviors, and it became a life of its own. And for 40 years, up and down and in and out, I had a struggle, and it was very difficult. We can't go into all the aspects of that right now, but let me just paint this picture for you. I was a pastor for a lot of years. For 19 years, I was a senior pastor of a church we planted. And it was an unusual Presbyterian church. We did contemporary worship singing and some praying, and then I'd preach for a while, and then we would celebrate the Eucharist, as we called it, or the Lord's table or communion. And after we'd said the prayers and blessed the elements, and I gave them to the servers, and they were taking them out to the congregation was coming up out of their seats to take the elements, I always, every service, knelt behind the communion table and prayed a prayer something like this: "Oh God, please don't hold my sins against your people. Please bless your people in spite of me. Oh God, I hate my life. Please help me change it. I'll leave ministry. I'll do whatever you want." Because I was trapped by my behaviors and I was isolated. I had some friends that I'd started to confide in, but I was still living a divided life, and that won't ultimately work. Well, in Ashamed No More, I talk about how I made my way through that, or how God brought me through that, and it wasn't easy, and it wasn't smooth, and it wasn't pretty, but it's worked. And I'm here to tell you there's hope. None of us were meant to stay in isolation and shame. See, Jesus loves us right where we are, but Jesus never intends to leave us where we are. And it's an oversimplification, but there's really 4 basic pieces that I've discovered and that I keep thinking about and I keep seeing work in the lives of others. And they're God and others, grace and truth. God, I don't think there's recovery apart from God. Now, there's lots of different ways that people approach recovery or approach dealing with their brokenness or dealing with their hurt or dealing with their shame. But whenever people find true healing, God's the author of it. All true healing comes from God. All truth comes from God. All gifts come from God. So God and God in the midst of us, that's the Christian gospel. And then others, community. We're not meant to live in isolation. God wired us to need others and to be needed by others. We belong with each other. And shame lies to us. It says, you've got to get your act together. You've got to present yourself a certain way or others will never love you, never accept you. And that's a lie. When we're truly open, truly vulnerable, truly honest with safe people, we begin to see shame leave, shame ebb. And we have to leave our shame behind. Others. Grace. That's what we need from each other, and we get it specifically from God. We need love and mercy. We need to know we're accepted, even if we keep struggling, especially when we keep struggling. And truth. Because the fact is, we do need to learn things and correct things. Jesus doesn't leave us where He finds us. He does bring about change in us. In recovery, we learn slogans, we learn little pithy statements of truth, like one day at a time, or you're as sick as your secrets, or don't waste your real life on virtual living. All kinds of slogans. I've got a whole list of them that I use to remind me day in and day out, sometimes moment in and moment out, of what really the truth of the gospel is, which is this: we're all a little worse than we like to admit that we are, and at the very same time, we're all more wildly loved, more extravagantly sought after by our Father in heaven than we have any idea that we are. God, others, grace, and truth. John 1:14 says, "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us." That's God and us. "And we beheld His glory, glory as of the only Son of the Father, full of grace and truth." I'm T.C. Ryan, and you are wildly loved.